Welcome back, folks, as we go inside the locker room with Garrett Strot, head coach of the brand new Lacrosse Chill hockey team. Garrett, welcome to Seven River Sports.
Well, thank you guys. Enjoyed coming here, and we've been enjoying being in town so far.
So why don't you fill our viewers in on your coaching career up to date? Were you a player? How did you get here? And
hockey's been my whole life. Played it since I was about 5 years old, and grew up in Minnesota, and where it's really big. And played 4 years of college, and then I got into coaching. And I coached at Osseo High School, the suburb just north of Minneapolis. I was there about 18 years, 14 as a head coach, and then always wanted to get into juniors. And my son is in college now, so it allowed me a chance to kind of move around. And I got an opportunity with this organization a couple years ago when they were in Mason City, and now we made the move to the Lacrosse on Alaska area, and we're going to be known as the Coulee Region Chill, so it should be a lot of fun.
Obviously a junior level, a little bit above high school. Maybe talk about some of the differences. There's probably a lot of folks watching this that know a lot about high school hockey around here, but don't know a lot about junior, don't know a lot about lower level college. Where does junior hockey kind of compare to high school and Division III college hockey?
It is. I mean, it's a great level of hockey. I mean, every one of these kids were the best players on their high school teams, and that's the biggest adjustment for these guys, is that they have to realize they're not getting all the ice they're used to. They're used to being the guy and getting all the ice, and now they all were that type of player, and so now they have to adjust to having certain roles they didn't have before. But every one of these kids, they're amateurs. They're not paid. Most of them are 18, 19, 20-year-olds. They're trying to get a Division I scholarship. 99% of them will go on to play college hockey, whether it's Division I or Division III. And so, but yeah, the level is a great level, and we have some interesting guys already for Division I teams, and the league as a whole. I mean, I think we sent over 100 players Division I last year out of the league, and it just continues to grow.
You touched on some of the answers to this next question, but I think a lot of people have a feel for the progression upward for sports like football and basketball and baseball, because every high school has one of those teams, and most colleges do. But in hockey, not every high school plays hockey, neither does every college. So what is the progression to professional for kids who have aspirations like that?
It is. I mean, it's in the U.S. It's playing high school or AAA midget hockey. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, they're big on high school hockey. A lot of the other states, it's AAA. It's more like all-star teams they put together. And then from there, it's going to juniors and then college, and then they're lucky enough they go on and play in the NHL. Hockey is a little different than other sports too. A lot of other sports, you go right from high school to college.
Right.
Even at the Division III level, you almost got to go to juniors before you go to college. So a lot of these kids that are in hockey in college are 19, 20-year-old freshmen.
So is that where the Chill fits in? Is this a juniors program that is between high school and college?
Yep, exactly. There'll be a few high school age kids on rosters, but not too many. But it gives them that jump to that 2 years to develop. One or two, they can play 1 or 2 years, but 2 years to develop before they go on to the college level. And even Division III, they recruit strictly junior players. So
right?
It's really hard for a kid to come right out of high school unless you're really exceptional. And those are the guys that are getting drafted in the first, second round. But for the most part, almost every kid's got to go play juniors before they can go to college.
Okay, just so the viewers know, I assume you probably know this, but girls hockey around here is actually kind of more the midget system yet. It's starting to build in high school, but it's more the midget system you said around here, whereas, as you said, in high school hockey, it's a much bigger deal on the boys' side around here than it is the girls' side. So how do you recruit your players? I mean, do they kind of find you, or you kind of find them, or you need to do a lot of recruiting like a college football or basketball coach would do?
It is a lot. It's kind of both. Our league has tenders and a draft. Tenders are like if a kid signs a tender with us, he can go to any other league if he wants, but in our league we have his rights. Okay. And so in that part it's kind of like recruiting. And then you obviously have your draft, and then you have your camps during the summer. And you get kids come from everywhere. I mean, we had kids come from Slovakia, California, Florida, Nevada. I mean, they come from all over the place to the camps, and so basically with your tenders, you're drafting in the open camps is where you find your players.
Kind of like of a turbo lacrosse locally then, or they've got players they're certainly offered and they really want, and then they kind of offer open tryouts. Anybody who wants to try out after that can hop in and give her a shot, it sounds like.
Yep,
right?
Yep, exactly.
I noticed during the tryouts that was covered pretty well in the paper possibly because there were some local kids in the hunt. Are they still? Did they make the final roster? And is local recruiting a priority, or is that just happenstance?
Yeah, it's not something that you know. It's just if the player's good enough. I mean, obviously, you'd like to have a local, and we do have one. Nathan Trano is from Onalaska, actually. Did make the team, but you know, it's not that we're going out. You know, if they're good and we feel they can play and contribute, then yeah, just it's just a bonus that they're from the area. But it's a lot of pressure on those kids too, and stuff. So, but for the most part, yeah, it's just we recruit mainly out of Minnesota because our whole staff is from there. We know the coaches, we know the area.
Sure.
We're going to start looking more in Wisconsin. And then we also been starting to hit Michigan a little bit, but and mainly around this area, Minnesota, Wisconsin, where the majority of our kids will usually always come from, just because we know the area, we know the coaches, and we're familiar with the players.
And these are the areas within the general area that play hockey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the best high school hockey around is in Minnesota, so yeah. I mean, and I've gotten to see a lot of AAA events, and even though those teams play more games, and that's kind of the knock on the high schools, that they don't play enough games, but boy, there's a lot of talent in both Minnesota and Wisconsin, and so you really don't have to go much further than this to field a good team.
Well, talk about Nate Tran a little bit. What do you see as his strengths? What are some things you need to get better at, and how has he physically dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his high school career?
No, he actually has been doing great. He's been kind of in and out of the lineup. He's one of his biggest assets is he works hard. Very hard worker, very responsible both ends of the ice. Just like all our first-year guys, it's just a matter of getting used to the pace. And that's one thing I think the fans are going to see is the pace is so much faster in high school. And it's an adjustment period for all these kids coming in. Last year we had a really young team, and then it took a while for the guys to adjust. But once they did, you could see. But it took them a couple months. And now with more vets this year, it's kind of carrying over in practice where we have some leadership this year where they kind of show the younger guys how it's done and what to expect. So I think the younger guys are going to catch up a little bit quicker than we did last year.
So that's not unlike a lot of sports. High school kids, even the top flight kids who come out as basketball, football players especially, that next step to college, and that's the next step for those two sports, the speed of the game is the main deciding factor, and it's why you don't see a lot of freshmen on any college team. So it's basically the same.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why a lot of these kids, when they go from juniors to college, they're adjusted better because they did have that. That's a big difference, from an 18-year-old to a 20-year-old. Yep. That 2 years of development. So a lot of these kids. That's why a lot of these Division I schools go after players and juniors because they're getting a 20-year-old freshman who physically can probably step in right away in the lineup and be used to the pace because they've been doing it for a couple of years. And it's kind of based our recruiting too is on speed. We last year I felt our team was a little slow, and we went after more team speed this year because every level up is. It's speed is the big factor along with skill, and so you need to make sure we had to go out and recruit some more players like that.
Yes, the other kid locally that's in the league is Jordan Tredenick down at Janesville. I know you played them a week or two ago. It was, I guess, maybe kind of like we did with Trano. What do you like of his game, and what do you maybe think he potentially need to get better at with one of your opponents?
He's I think he's a very solid defenseman and very smart with the puck, and he played really well when we were out there, and I know he's been doing well in the league so far, and kind of an offensive defenseman and stuff, so he's doing really well there.
Real good forward in high school. So.
Yeah, that's what I heard. He used to play a forward, so that's probably why he's a little bit more offensive as a defenseman because he's used to being a forward. It's always good to have guys that can kind of be versatile like that.
Sure.